How y'all doing? It's Rob Bone, my co-preacher man on beat. This is another episode of Ritual TV 91. This time I'm doing another Christmas classic, and this time I'm doing A Christmas Carol, and it's the Disney version with Jim Carrey playing Ebenezer Scrooge. And what happens is Ebenezer Scrooge is in his shop, and he's fussing at Bob Cratchit, and he's trying to get him to come to work on Christmas Eve, but he decides not to let him do that. But he has to be there earlier the next morning. So Bob Cratchit goes to his house and to be with his family. Well, Ebenezer Scrooge goes back to his house, and when he gets back to his house, his ex-partner Jacob Marley shows up and tells him he's going to be visited by 3 spirits. And while he's telling him this, Jacob Marley goes out the window, and you see all the other spirits that are carrying their chains just like Jacob Marley, because they was being greedy whenever they was alive, and they didn't give to the poor or whatever, and they kept all their money to themselves and was greedy about it. So they have to go out throughout the rest of their afterlife carrying these chains around, and that's what Jacob Marley has been doing. He's been going around the world carrying these chains, and that's what happens with Jacob Marley. Well, Ebenezer Scrooge goes to sleep, and the Ghost of Christmas Past shows up and takes him throughout his past. It takes him to when he's a little bitty boy in the school that he goes to, and then it goes from when his sister comes back and gets him, his little sister, and their father is nicer now and lets Ebenezer Scrooge go back home. And then it goes to Ebenezer Scrooge when he's at his apprenticeship, and they have the Christmas party, and he meets his girlfriend, and then it goes to whenever he breaks up with his girlfriend, and that's all that happens with the Ghost of Christmas Past. And then the Ghost of Christmas Present shows up, and he takes him to Bob Marley's house, Bob Cratchit's house, and he sees Tiny Tim, and Ebenezer Scrooge asks the spirit if Tiny Tim's going to die, and the spirit says if something doesn't change, he will die. And then at the end of the Ghost Christmas Present, there's these two, this is a boy and a girl at his feet, and it's want and envy. And it's throughout the whole world of want and envy, and this is where these two entities come from. And then at the stroke of midnight, the Ghost of Christmas Present dies, and then the Ghost of Christmas Future shows up. And Ebenezer Scrooge is trying to get him to talk to him, but he doesn't. He just points the whole time he's there. And then he chases down Ebenezer Scrooge and is trying to capture him, and Ebenezer Scrooge gets away. And then the Ghost of Christmas Future takes Ebenezer Scrooge to his bed where Ebenezer Scrooge is dead, and then you see everybody in his life talking about him or whatever, and talking about how nobody went to the funeral or whatever. And then Ebenezer Scrooge comes upon his grave and sees that it's his grave, and he falls into the grave, and this when he wakes up, and then he's a changed man. He goes and tells a kid to buy the biggest turkey to take to Bob Cratchit's house, and then he goes out and goes to the people who was trying to get him to give them money for the poor. He gives them money, and he goes throughout the whole town. He goes to his nephew's Christmas party and says he wants the next Christmas party next year to be at his house, and he insists. And then at the end of the movie, he tells Bob Cratchit to go get some coal, and that he's raising his salary. And that's all that happened on this movie. If y'all have ever watched the Disney version of the Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey, what did y'all like about it? As always, I'm just saying that. That's usually awesome. See you next time.